My beloved child, have you ever wondered why among all things in creation I began with a family? Before there were kingdoms, before there were churches, before laws or rituals existed, I placed into the universe one sacred design: love, multiplied through unity. Family was not only the starting point of humanity, but the very first imprint of my image in the visible world. In that moment when I created Adam and Eve, I sowed into the heart of mankind the reflection of myself, a love that unites, mirroring heavenly glory. From that moment on, through every generation, every bloodline, and every vow of love, there remains a divine signature, the mark of the Creator, revealing Himself through human relationship. Family was never an accident. It was an eternal intention woven into the very structure of the human soul. When I said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness," Genesis 1:2-6, it was not only about form or intellect, but about the capacity to love, to unite, and to bring forth life. Family is the place where I allow love to flow, where humanity learns how to love as I love, to forgive as I forgive, and to build as I have built the universe itself. Every family, no matter how small, is a reflection of heaven, a dwelling place of my presence amid laughter, tears, and wordless embraces. When you love, you participate in my creative work. When you forgive, you share in my divine nature. And when you protect those you cherish, you become like me, the eternal keeper. Yet, my child, what I see today breaks my heart. Many families have lost the image I first intended. They love but do not understand the source of love. They live together but no longer in unity. They call each other family yet live as strangers. Love in this world has been diluted, replaced by selfishness, power, and the desire for control. Houses remain lit, but hearts within have grown cold. Humanity has forgotten that where I am absent, unity cannot exist. Family was created not merely to share meals or shelter, but to become a living altar, a sacred place where every soul offers itself in love and forgiveness. Each conversation, each silence, each bowed head in prayer beside a loved one is a holy act, though you may not see it. I am present in those moments, in a child's laughter, a mother's tears, a father's patient breath, and even in the quiet between hearts learning to understand one another. Family is not a place where you seek perfection, but the furnace of love where selfishness is burned away, pride is refined, and true love is proven not by words but by deeds. I did not place you among those who are always gentle, agreeable, or easy to love. I placed you among differences because only through difference is love forged into eternity. A diamond only shines after being cut and polished. A heart becomes tender only after being molded through trials. And a family becomes sacred only when it learns to love despite the wounds. Do not forget, my child, your family is not only the place I bless, it is the place I refine. Each person in your family is a lesson sent from heaven to enlarge your heart. Some teach you patience, some perseverance, and some teach you how to love without receiving love in return. I know there are times you feel alone, as if no one understands you. But in that loneliness, I am calling you back to find the fullness of love that comes not from man but from me. Do not think I am distant when you cannot feel my presence in your home. I am still there quietly, invisibly, like a river flowing beneath dry ground, waiting for the moment to rise and water every barren place. I see every sigh you try to hide, every tear you wipe away in the dark, every time you hold peace while your heart is breaking. You are not invisible to me. Every act of love, no matter how small, resounds in the courts of heaven. I have heard your prayer, Lord, please renew my family. And I say to you, I am doing it. But you must understand this. Healing does not always come in gentle silence. Sometimes it begins with shaking. I allow the winds to blow so that roots may grow deeper. I allow the storms to come so that weakness may be revealed. I do not destroy, I rebuild. No disruption is meaningless in my hands. For wherever my love is called upon, there I will sow new life. Family is not a duty you have to bear, but a sacred covenant. You were not merely born into your family. You were sent there as a bearer of light. You are the keeper of the flame within your home, the intercessor, the one who brings the fragrance of heaven into every meal, every word, every glance. When you choose love when it would be easier to hate, when you choose prayer over complaint, You allow heaven to touch the earth through you. My beloved child, your family is not just a part of your life, it is a part of my eternal plan. Every family I have established carries a divine purpose to teach humanity how to love, how to forgive, and how to build relationships that endure. Family is not only a shelter from the storm, but a place where I dwell, a place where my love is displayed through every word, every act, every small moment of daily life. When you understand this, you will see that family is not merely meant to survive, but to reflect the very nature of the Creator in a world that has forgotten the source of true love. I know there are days when you grow weary, when the bonds between hearts feel fragile, when words cut like blades, when small misunderstandings create distance. Yet, my child, I do not see a house in disorder. I see a work in progress. I do not see failure. I see a process of healing. I am at work even in the places where you think I am silent. Your family is not forgotten, it is being reshaped in ways only I fully understand. For every family is a brushstroke in the great masterpiece. I am painting the masterpiece of restoration, where every crack is filled with mercy, and every wound is replaced with patience and forgiveness. Child, I call you to see your family through the eyes of faith, not fleeting emotion. There are those you love who are walking through seasons of distance, closed hearts, or hidden wounds they do not know how to express. You cannot change them through argument or reproach, but you can transform the atmosphere of your home through the peace that comes from me. Every time you choose restraint, speak words of love, or pray, instead of complain, you open the door for my spirit to move. True transformation does not begin in others, it begins in a heart willing to obey. I want you to understand that a family is not built on perfection but on honesty. When you dare to admit weakness, to apologize, to forgive, you rebuild the foundation of your home. Nothing delights me more than seeing a father humbly pray for his children, a mother patiently teaching righteousness, or a child bowing in gratitude to their parents. These seemingly small acts are the sacred stones that build a house of peace. Do not think your nighttime prayers are in vain. Not one of your petitions falls to the ground. I hear them, I remember them, and I am moving even now. Family is also the place where you learn the art of love in practice. Love is not a fleeting feeling, but a choice to keep walking together despite differences, to listen when the other speaks harshly, to endure when others are weak. I do not call you to love only when it is easy, but to love even through trials. When you continue to love amid imperfection, you live out. My very nature for love is patient, love is kind, 1 Corinthians 1:3-4. And where true love abides, there I dwell. Do not seek a family without conflict, for where there are people, there will be pain. Instead, seek my presence within the conflict, for where I am, there is always a way. When someone's words wound you, you can remain silent and whisper within, Lord, be among us. When you feel too weak to reconcile, remember that I am the mediator, the one who bridges distant hearts. You only need to keep your heart tender. I will take care of the rest. My child, I desire that your family become a place of healing, not judgment, a home where each person can return even after failure, can speak even in weakness, and can be loved even in imperfection. If you build such an atmosphere, I will do the rest. I will heal the past, untangle misunderstandings, turn anger into compassion, and transform distance into closeness. When you walk in love, I will place my peace upon your household, a peace not born of circumstance, but of my very presence. Continue to pray, to believe, and to love. Do not grow weary when nothing seems to change yet, for I am working in silence. There are things I do not reveal too soon, for if you saw them prematurely, you would try to interfere. But when you choose to trust and surrender, you will see the fruit of your faith, harmony, understanding, and the restoration of joy. Family is the school of the soul where you learn to reflect my character. And when you live with a faithful heart, your family will become a living testimony, a lamp shining in a world desperate for hope. My child, I promise you this. If you hold fast to faith and keep me at the center, I will rebuild your home with my own hands. One day when you look back, you will see that every tear sown into that soil has blossomed into flowers of grace. My beloved child, there are things happening within your family that the human eye cannot perceive. The arguments that seem meaningless, the heavy silences, the careless words that wound, the moments of anger followed by regret, all of these are not merely human reactions. Behind them lies a real spiritual battle where the enemy seeks relentlessly to divide those whom I have joined together. He does not strike at random. He chooses the family, for the family is the foundation. I treasure most the place where I first placed my power and blessing upon humankind. From the dawn of creation, when I gave Adam and Eve a garden, I also entrusted them with a divine mission, to be fruitful, to build, and to reign upon the earth in unity with me. But the enemy knew that if he could make that family doubt, argue, and drift apart, he could shake the very foundation of the world. And he succeeded by planting seeds of doubt, doubt in me, doubt in each other, and doubt in the love that was freely given to them. Since then, every family has become a battlefield between light and darkness. Wherever there is true love, there will be resistance. Wherever there is unity, there will be schemes to divide. Be watchful, my child. The enemy does not fear shallow prayers, but he trembles before a family that holds hands in faith. He does not fear luxurious homes, but he fears hearts that kneel together before me. For he knows that a house united in me cannot be shaken. As it is written, if a house is divided against itself, that house cannot stand. Mark 3:2-5. That is why he will constantly attack your unity, your faith, and your love for one another. Yet he does not come with a roar. He comes with a whisper. He does not break down the door. He slips quietly through the crack of careless words. A thoughtless comment, a complaint spoken in exhaustion, a reaction born of anger, each can become the spark he waits for to ignite the fire of division. You may think you are merely expressing emotion, but he twists those emotions into misunderstanding, turning hearts against each other. A delayed apology can become a wall. An unexplained silence can become a chasm. And while you are busy defending your point, he sows more doubt and pride to widen the distance. My child, I do not tell you this to make you afraid, but to make you aware. The enemy only wins when you fail to recognize his presence. He wants you to believe your husband is the problem, your wife is the cause, your parents are the burden, your children are the disappointment. But in truth, none of them are your enemy. People are not the ones you must fight. They are souls to be protected. The true battle is not against flesh and blood, but within the unseen realm where thoughts, emotions, and words are influenced by two opposing forces, light and darkness. The enemy knows well how human emotions work. He knows when you are tired, when you are weak, when you are hurt, and in those moments he whispers, "They don't care about you, you always have to do it alone, no one understands you." He plants these thoughts like seeds, and if you are not watchful, they grow into bitterness, pride, and suspicion. When that happens, you begin to close your heart, to stop speaking, to build walls instead of bridges. And once love is replaced by cold silence, the enemy has achieved his goal. My child, words are powerful weapons. They can build up or they can destroy. When you speak what is good, heaven responds. When you speak with bitterness, darkness gains permission to act. The enemy doesn't need to destroy with force, he only needs to borrow your mouth to poison your own home. That is why I have taught you. Speak words that are gracious, building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. Ephesians 4:2-9. For every word you release carries spiritual power. It either belongs to me or to the enemy. I want you to understand this conflict is not the end. It is a sign that something needs healing. When storms rise within your household, don't just look at faults. Ask me, Lord, what is the enemy aiming at in my family? He usually targets the strongest point because he fears it most. If your home is filled with love, he will sow misunderstanding to destroy that love. If your family is faithful in prayer, he will use busyness to hinder it. If one in your home walks closely with me, he will try to isolate that person. But take heart, my power is greater than all his schemes. You must stand firm like a watchman, not in fear but in discernment. Open your spiritual eyes and see when you keep silent instead of reacting, you are not weak, you are winning. When you choose prayer over criticism, you are reclaiming the ground the enemy has taken. When you forgive, you shut the door he is trying to open. And when the whole family bows together in prayer, the light of heaven descends and dissolves every plan of darkness. My beloved child, do not let the enemy deceive you through fleeting emotions. He will always try to make you believe that hope is gone, that love has died, that the wounds are too deep to heal. But I tell you, this true love never dies, and your family can still stand firm. Every time you lift your eyes to me, every time you choose unity over division, you draw heaven closer to your home. This battle is not meant to make you afraid, but to teach you how to fight in the Spirit with love, with prayer, and with an unshakable faith that I am with you, my dear child. In every spiritual battle, words are the sharpest weapon, for they carry the power to create or to destroy. From the very beginning, the universe was not formed by hammer or hand, but by the word. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Genesis 1:3. By that same principle, the words you speak each day can establish peace or open the door to chaos. Every sound that leaves your lips carries spiritual weight. It is either released under my guidance or distorted by the enemy's influence. When you speak words of encouragement, comfort, and blessing, you are speaking in harmony with heaven. Those words are like seeds sown into good soil. They quietly take root and bear fruit in due season. But when you speak from anger, bitterness, or despair, your words also plant seeds, only this time in the soil of darkness. The enemy knows this well, so he constantly tries to stir your emotions before you speak, so that your words, instead of giving life, bring pain. Many of the deepest wounds in families do not come from great actions, but from small words, careless comments, sarcasm, blame, or cold silence. These do not only hurt hearts, but open doors for bitterness to enter, fracturing the spiritual atmosphere of the home. Remember this: every word creates a reality. When you say, "We will overcome," faith awakens. When you say, "There's no hope left," darkness gains a foothold. When you say, "I believe God is at work," angels are sent forth. But when you complain, doubt, or speak curses, the enemy uses those very words to strengthen his hold. That is why I urge you to guard your tongue more than you guard your treasure, for a single careless sentence can undo years of prayer. My child, I do not say these things to make you fear your own words, but to help you understand the sacred power I have placed in your mouth. I created you in my image, and therefore you too carry the power to create through your speech. When you speak goodness with faith, you partner with me to rebuild what has been broken. When you speak forgiveness, you release others from the chains of guilt and open the path for your own freedom. When you speak in prayer, you open the gates for heaven to enter your family space. Do not underestimate this power, for your mouth is the meeting point between heaven and hell, and you are the one chosen to decide which voice will speak through you. In every family I have appointed a watchman, one whom I have called to stand in the gap, guarding the home from unseen currents of destruction. Sometimes it is the father, the mother, or even the child, the one who perceives the spiritual battle unfolding and decides to remain silent no more. A watchman is not a perfect person, but one who is awake and faithful. They do not react out of emotion, but respond with faith. When others in the house grow weary, they are the ones still kneeling in prayer. When the atmosphere grows heavy, they lift their voice in praise. When bitter words begin to rise, they are the ones who stop them and choose words of peace instead. My child, that is the role I am calling you to fulfill, the watchman of your own family. Not to control, but to protect. Not to dominate, but to guide. The watchman understands that every prayer strengthens the invisible wall surrounding their home. They do not need to shout to prove their strength, for they know that true power rests in the quiet where my spirit dwells. They do not fight with harsh words, but with intercession. They do not respond with anger, but reflect my grace in the midst of the storm. I know it is not easy. There will be moments when you want to scream, to resist, to defend yourself. Yet, my child, when you remain calm in the storm, you are not weak. You are manifesting the authority of heaven. When you choose silence instead of arguing, you are declaring to darkness, I do not belong to you. When you choose prayer instead of reaction, you are shutting the mouth of the accuser. Therefore, I urge you, do not let emotion dictate your actions. Let the Holy Spirit guide your words. In every situation, ask, Lord, what do you want me to say right now? And when you do, you will see how even your smallest words can shift the entire atmosphere of your home. A watchman is also one who stands in the gap. They do not wait for others to intercede or for circumstances to improve before they begin to pray. They stand amid the chaos, the arguments, the weariness, and cry out, "Lord, have mercy on us." They understand that prayer is not the last resort, it is the first line of defense. They build a wall of prayer around their family, not with bricks and mortar, but with faith and steadfast love. That wall may be unseen, but the spiritual realm knows its existence. It blocks the arrows of the enemy, silences curses, and keeps the spiritual atmosphere of the home pure. You may not see it, but every intercession you make is a glowing stone added to that wall. Each time you pray for your husband, your wife, your parents, or your children, even in brief whispers, my angels take those prayers and use them to strengthen the barrier of protection. As you persist in prayer, that wall grows thicker, higher, and becomes a fortress of peace no power can penetrate. My beloved child, the enemy knows he cannot defeat a family that speaks words of grace and prays without ceasing. Therefore, I call you today, begin with your own words. Use your mouth to build up, not to tear down, to bless, not to curse, to sow faith, not fear. Become the watchman I trust, the gatekeeper, the guardian, the one who changes the atmosphere of the home through a single prayer. And as you do, the wall of prayer around your home will rise. It will not only protect but also radiate light, so that everyone in your household, as they walk through trials, will feel it. They are living under the shadow of the Almighty, covered by the intercession of a faithful heart. And I, your God, will dwell within that wall as the fire that never goes out, preserving your family in peace amid every storm. My beloved child, no family can stand firm without forgiveness. For wherever there are people, there will be wounds. Wherever there is love, there will also be clashes, misunderstandings, and words that wound the heart. But I tell you, this forgiveness is the key that unlocks every door of healing. It is not merely a human act, it is a reflection of the divine. For only when my spirit moves within you can you truly forgive. I know there are things, not easily forgotten words, that even after years still sting when remembered. There are actions that made you feel betrayed, dismissed, or unseen. You may have told yourself, "I've forgiven," yet deep within the wound remains open like a small crack in the wall of peace, keeping your soul from true rest. My child, I do not condemn you for this. I understand your pain, for I too was betrayed, denied, and despised by those I loved. But know this: only when you truly forgive will you be free. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting, nor does it mean denying the pain. To forgive is to hand over the right of judgment to me, to trust that I am more just than you, and that I will handle every matter in perfect wisdom. Forgiveness does not make you weak. It makes you more like me. When you forgive, you are saying, "Lord, I trust you more than my emotions." Forgiveness is not a compromise with wrongdoing, but a declaration that this pain will no longer control your life. My child, the enemy fears forgiveness more than anything else. He knows that when you hold on to resentment, you are holding the very chains that bind you. He doesn't need to imprison you in a physical cell. He only needs to keep you clinging to your wounds, and you will trap yourself inside them. But when you release and say, "Lord, I surrender this to you," those chains shatter. Forgiveness is the doorway that leads you out of the prison of emotion and opens the path for peace to flow back into your soul. I know forgiveness is not easy, especially when the one who hurt you is someone you love. But remember, true love always walks hand in hand with forgiveness. Love without forgiveness is a fragile emotion. Love that forgives is the very strength of heaven. I forgave humanity, even as they nailed me to the cross. I did not wait for them to apologize before forgiving. I forgave because love is my nature. When you learn to forgive in this way, you enter a deeper dimension of faith where love is no longer driven by emotion but guided by the Spirit. My child, forgiveness does not only heal others, it first heals you. Every time you choose to forgive, a part of your heart is restored. When you forgive, you make room for the joy and peace I long to pour into you. But when you hold on to bitterness, you block my very blessings. Bitterness is like a slow poison. It doesn't kill instantly, but it weakens you, drains your spirit, and dries up your faith. Forgiveness is the only antidote. And you will discover that when you truly forgive, you feel lighter, not because the other person deserves it, but because you have chosen freedom. Sometimes you must forgive those who have passed away, those who are no longer here to say they're sorry. Sometimes you must forgive those who never realized their wrongs. And sometimes you must forgive yourself for what you regret. But whoever it is, remember, forgiveness does not depend on their actions, but on your decision. Forgiveness does not require the other person to change. It only requires you to surrender it into my hands. My child, I am calling you to do this today. Remember the one who hurt you, and say, I choose to forgive because the Lord has forgiven me. Remember your own mistakes and say, I choose to let go because the Lord has carried them for me. Remember every memory that made you weep, and say, I give this to you, Lord, turn it into something good. For when you do this, you enter the process of true healing, not a temporary relief, but a restoration at the roots. Do not let silence among family members become a wall that divides hearts. A simple I'm sorry can shift the atmosphere of an entire home. A genuine embrace can melt years of coldness. And a single phrase, I forgive you, Dad, I forgive you, Mom, I forgive you, my spouse, can open a new season for the family. Forgiveness not only restores relationships, but creates space for the Holy Spirit to move. I tell you this, a family that forgives is a family where I dwell. Where there is forgiveness, there is freedom. Where there is forgiveness, there is peace. Where there is forgiveness, there is my presence. For forgiveness is the very essence of my kingdom. It is the language of grace and the foundation of all restoration. My child, if you truly long for healing in your home, begin here. Do not wait for others to take the first step. Be the one to step forward. Let me use you as the starting point of a new flow, the flow of kindness, compassion, and renewed love. Believe that as you forgive, I am working in the rest. You may not see the results immediately, but the seed is already taking root in the spirit realm. And one day you will look back and realize that the tears you shed today have watered the very ground where peace and unity have begun to bloom. My beloved child, when true love is revealed, it does more than soothe the pain, it restores and recreates. My love is unlike the love of this world. It does not depend on emotion, it does not shift with circumstance, nor does it rest upon one's worthiness. It is the eternal creative force that can turn what is shattered into something new, transforming relationships that seem broken beyond repair into living testimonies of grace. When you allow my love to flow through you, you become a vessel of healing in my hands, and through you I can transform the very atmosphere of your home. My child, true love is not weak. It is stronger than any wound, deeper than any harsh word, and more enduring than any trial. True love does not only say I forgive you, but also I will still be here even before you change. That is the love I showed you when you were far from me. When you wandered, I pursued you. When you turned away, I waited. When you fell, I reached out to lift you. This is the pattern of love by which I call you to love those in your own household, not because they are always right, but because you choose to reflect my very nature. Remember, restoration within a family rarely happens through sudden miracles, but through the patient work of love. Each time you choose love instead of resentment, speak grace instead of judgment, and act in kindness instead of retaliation, you are sowing seeds of life. Those seeds may not sprout immediately, but they will never die. Every act of love, every prayer whispered for another, every tear shed in longing for peace, I see them all, and I am weaving them together into a new spiritual harvest for your family. I know there will be moments when you feel weary, when you love without being loved in return or give without anyone noticing. But my child, genuine love does not need recognition to remain true, for it does not originate from you but from me. You only need to abide in me, as the branch abides in the vine. When you remain in me, you will always find strength to love once more, forgive once more, and believe once more, even when those around you have not yet changed. Let me teach you the art of restorative love. It is not the result of human effort, but the work of the Holy Spirit within you. When you choose to love the one who hurt you, you open a sacred space for the Spirit to touch their heart. There are those in your family who have shut themselves away for far too long, and neither arguments nor logic can move them, but your steadfast love can. It is like a drop of water that falls again and again upon a cold stone, not breaking it by force, but softening it through quiet persistence. When you love with my love, you will begin to see others through the eyes of grace. You will recognize that behind anger lies fear, behind indifference lies pain, and behind hardness lies a deep longing to be understood. And once you see this, you will no longer desire to win the argument, you will desire to heal. For in me there is no one beyond redemption. Even hearts of stone can soften, and relationships thought to be lost can live again once love is restored to its rightful place at the center. Understand, my child, that healing is not merely the mending of relationships, but the renewing of hearts. You may be asking me to change others, but first I am changing you so that you may love with greater compassion, greater patience, and greater resemblance to me. When you are transformed, you make way for me to complete the rest. For when one person in the family turns toward me, the entire spiritual atmosphere of that home begins to change. Remember that love does not need noise to be powerful. It requires no grand promises, only quiet faithfulness day by day. A gentle word instead of an outburst, an understanding glance instead of indifference, a tender touch instead of cold silence. These small acts may seem insignificant, yet in the spirit realm, they release great movement. My angels are at work whenever you choose to love, for love is the very language of heaven. Thank you for listening to this message. Know that you are not merely an observer, you are chosen to live daily in the presence of my word. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you will not miss any of these divine messages. Amen.